Tzu Chi volunteers mobilized a cleanup crew to help lessen the burden of the affected. Thanks to the power of social media, a vegan couple is inspiring many youth to adopt the diet. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. During the Lunar New Year holiday period, a residential gas explosion incident took place in Yunlin. The daughter of the home rushed back to find the childhood homes in shambles. Not only does she have to deal with the passing of a parent, but she has no clue on how to deal with the aftermath proceedings. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers quickly mobilized a cleanup team to help Miss Huang clean up the devastated home. During the Lunar New Year holiday period, there was a residential gas explosion incident in Yunlin that took place. Unfortunately, the couple that lived there, one passed away and one was badly injured. The daughter, who had been married off to another city, rushed back to the home as soon as she heard the devastating news. She has been dealing with the grief of losing a parent while trying to deal with all the aftermath ordeals.
I was in total shock because I moved when I got married, so I haven't lived here for over 8 to 9 years already.
She had no idea what to do in this situation. Even looking for funeral services had its difficulties. The house was in shambles. No idea who to look for to come help clean up the devastating scene. When she was the most helpless, one phone call from a stranger came through.
I've received a phone call from a Tzu Chi volunteer, Mr. Yan. He had gotten a hold of my phone number, so he called me directly. He had asked me what was the thing that I needed the most urgent help with. I told him that it was the house that I was the most stressed out about.
Upon learning the request, Tzu Chi volunteers immediately mobilized a cleanup crew and headed to the home. Searchlights were set up in order to help with the clearing process, putting each of their own lives on hold, helping to clear out bags after bags of debris.
It was really bad. All the walls were cracked and large pieces of gravel fell to the ground. The explosion had covered the whole floor with rubble. The whole second floor is completely unrecognizable by the fire.
After the cleaning was finally done, all the volunteers were covered in sweat.
I personally felt their unconditional giving. The whole ordeal was just no words. I was so touched and so grateful for each and every one of them. Through this instant, I was deeply inspired. I feel that if I have the ability, I'm willing to give back too.
Ms. Huang stated that she used to always see Tzu Chi conducting relief work in the past, but she would have never thought that one day she was going to be the one receiving their help. Tzu Chi's timely aid will stay in her heart forever. She is inspired by Tzu Chi's compassion and will start to do good deeds herself, spreading more love all around. Oh, how time passes by so quickly. The Tzu Chi Foundation have contacted 51 large-scale rice seeds distributions in Myanmar, benefiting a total of 47,000 affected households. After the final distribution was successfully finished, local Burmese Tzu Chings took on the responsibility of finishing the task of cleaning up the venues. They were the ones that transported all the materials and supplies back to the warehouse in Yangon. Tzu Chi's rice seeds distribution in Myanmar has successfully been completed. The group of Tzu Chings are the last ones to leave the venue. They are the ones helping to transport the materials back to Yangon. Even though they are young in age, their sense of responsibility and abilities are endless. Every single distribution was filled with curveballs, but that never brought them down. What got them through each challenge was the jinx aphorisms that volunteers had handed out to the recipients.
Whenever I got a bit angry or frustrated, it would be gone within a minute. I would remember seeing the words like, "The hardest thing to surpass in life is yourself." When I would see the jinx aphorisms like that, then I would instantly not be angry anymore.
This type of unconditional giving can also be seen whenever Tzu Chings headed into remote areas to care for the impoverished elderly population.
Whenever we head into a remote village, there are many elderly residents. If we can bring some joy into their lives, it makes us feel really blessed.
For the distribution this time, there were also Tzu Chi scholarship recipients that came to help out. The volunteers were all very impressed.
If they become jinx volunteers, then they'll be able to learn how to take care of themselves. They'll also learn how to protect and help those who are less fortunate than themselves.
The rice seed distributions have successfully come to an end. Not only were the affected farmers benefited, but the love and compassion shown has also been deeply ingrained into each one of these Tzu Chings' hearts. A Kaohsiung Medical University student who came from the kingdom of Eswatini thought she had to stop her studies due to her family's financial struggles. Fortunately, her professor introduced her to Tzu Chi, who ended up helping her through the scholarship program. She was able to successfully graduate from the school. Before returning back to her homeland, she especially made a trip to thank all the Tzu Chi volunteers.
Thank the organization In Kaohsiung, an event was conducted for welcoming the new volunteers. During the event, a young lady, Lukhele Noksivide Patian from Eswatini, came to join. Her parents passed away in 2011, and she came to study medical technologies at the Kaohsiung Medical University in 2014. She did not know her family had financial problems while back at home. Therefore, she could not pay her tuition fees.
I kept on crying every day to bed because I didn't know where to get help. And when I received the help, I was happy because I didn't have to worry about anything now.
After we help her to solve her problem, all of the worries have disappeared at once. As for her living expenses, she can support herself by teaching English.
加油，加油！ Thank you.
She has something for you. It's a scarf.
She traveled from over 10,000 kilometers to pursue her studies in Taiwan. She didn't have anyone to rely on. Fortunately, her professor had introduced her to Tzu Chi, giving her a sense of belonging. For her, Tzu Chi is like her family.
I like Taiwan because it has good food and nice people, and it's safe. You can walk and at night and no one will be touching you.
Before returning home, Lukhele Noksivide Patian came to thank the volunteers for their assistance. She told the volunteers that she wanted to use her competences to help more people in need. In the future, she would like to reciprocate the help of Tzu Chi.
At the Tzu Chi University Chinese Language Center, there was a language exchange camp held for a total of 23 Japanese students. While learning the language, the students were also introduced to the Jingsi tea ceremony.
A group of 23 university students from Japan came to Tzu Chi University to learn the Chinese language. The teacher had invited them to join the tea ceremony class to learn more about the Taiwanese culture and the meanings behind making the perfect tea.
Compared to the Japanese tea ceremony, Taiwan's tea ceremony values the concept of humanistic culture, giving us a warm feeling inside.
Usually our first impression of the tea ceremony is very serious, and there are strict etiquette rules that need to be followed. But after participating in the tea ceremony class, I've realized it's not like that. We can actually become more considerate to put ourselves in someone else's shoes.
Japan has its own tea ceremony culture in which it values the procedure and etiquette. As for Jingsi tea ceremony, it values the spirit of humanistic culture.
When the students come in, we would ask them to sit down and meditate themselves for 3 to 5 minutes. I hope they can calm their minds when they come inside this room to actually feel the peaceful atmosphere around.
The tea ceremony has left a deep impression on these Japanese university students. As we can see, learning a new language can introduce us to a new culture.
In China, there's a 23-year-old Liu Zhou who suffered from a high fever and bacterial infection at birth, which left him half paralyzed. Upon learning of his wish of always wanting to visit an amusement park, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to make his long-term dream come true.
At the village, a viaduct was constructed. This is an overpass to the prosperous city. It has always been a dream for Liu Zhou to visit the city. He's not like other 23-year-old youth who can go anywhere they want. A week after birth, he suffered from a high fever, which caused his body to be paralyzed. However, Liu Zhou is very positive and smart.
At that time, we didn't have a TV, so he would count the numbers by himself, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way until 100. No one taught him the numbers.
Liu Zhou likes to smile, although he can't really express his feelings in words, but he's willing to interact with you.
Through TV programs, he became curious about the outside world.
The secretary of our village asked him about his dreams. He said that he wanted to see the skyscrapers.
Tzu Chi volunteers decided to fulfill his dream. In order to make this trip a safe one, they needed to be careful and pay attention to his health. He kept looking out at the scenery along the car ride. No matter how tired he was, he wouldn't want to close his eyes. When he arrived at the amusement park, he was beaming with smile.
身临其境，来那个地方看到没有？身临其境，乐在其中。
你看到哪儿没有？摩天了没有？
毕竟让他出来看到了。
We want to let him see the world that we live in, letting him know how wonderful it is.
世界嘛，花花世界，哎，还是很美好的。
Liu Zhou's dream has been fulfilled. He couldn't believe that he's actually inside the city and visiting sites. This is definitely a memorable trip for him. While seeing how happy he was, the volunteers and the family members were joyful as well.
Today, we're introducing you to a brand new series on vegetarianism. Nowadays, there are more and more people adopting a vegetarian diet for various reasons. One vegan couple who are YouTubers have been using social media to demonstrate the positive sides of this diet choice. Let's check out what kind of effects they're having on the youth population.
Riding a scooter and taking to the streets is something quite common for Hao Zhen and Zhen Yang when they go on a date. These 20-somethings are different than others because they are both vegan. They're a vegan couple and the food demand is totally vegan.
帮我们准备2个鲔鱼玉米吐司，2份。
要加蛋吗？
不用加蛋。
这可以加蛋。
这个也可以加，就是蛋也可以加里面。
我们蛋很特别，我们是植物蛋，它里面是用大豆啊，还有南瓜、红萝卜这样制成的。对，所以它有别于一般的鸡蛋的风味，比较营养。汉堡加蛋粉。
This couple asked carefully about ingredients because they aren't just here to eat, but also have another important task.
好，那上桌可以拍吗？就是制作的话，可以啊，可以啊。
This vegetarian bacon and eggs are fried on this pan as aromas fill the air. All these images are captured on cameras. Hao Zhen and Zhen Yang, they are popular YouTubers who created a channel for promoting vegetarian life. They're quite lively in the way they introduce delicious and healthy vegetarian dishes. Their relaxed and natural style is very popular with fans. In just over a year, the number of channel subscribers has topped 5 digits, and their popularity has also risen on social media.
The first time we filmed was in the night market. We actually dared to film in the night market. We don't think that the focus on our phone was working and it kept flashing. The sound recording was also quite poor. So the first video was hastily done and edited. We were brave and posted it, and the owner of the business liked it a lot, and also got a lot of viewers. The owner of the stinky tofu shop liked it a lot and helped us share it.
The positive response from their work also elicited some very interesting questions about being a vegan.
Milk and eggs are not vegetarian at all. Don't be fooled by the term milk egg vegetarian. Don't be so extreme. Milk and eggs can also be vegetarian and are considered with the top 5 vegetarian categories, as it is better to respect everyone.
Some netizens even asked,
does a vegetarian need to find a vegetarian boyfriend? What would you choose? I would choose both. Wouldn't it be nice to turn your boyfriend into a vegetarian?
The more weird the questions raised by netizens, the more these young people feel that they have an important mission about sharing correct information about vegetarianism.
When we started shooting our 3rd and 4th video, people began commenting on us. They started telling us what the best direction to go is. So I wanted to get more information and I began sharing it, developing more pipelines as more information is good. It should be time for us to start, as I felt that I had a good sense of mission, and it was a good path to take.
Born in 1994, she has a clear complexion and a sweet face. Though she is still quite young, she has been vegetarian for more than 20 years since birth. Hao Zhen leads by example with her own life. At first, Zhen Yang was a meat eater, and later he transformed into a vegetarian. And he too soon gave up eggs and milk to become a vegan. Being a vegetarian is part of life, and it is a heart of their commitment to environmental protection and animal rights. In fact, this young vegan couple's experience promoting such a diet coincides with the trend of an increasing vegetarian population in Taiwan. According to unofficial statistics quoted by the Taiwanese media, Taiwan's vegetarian population has exceeded 2.5 million, more than 10% of the total population. In Taiwan, especially in New Taipei and Taipei, vegetarian restaurants have begun to spring up everywhere. Taiwan has actually become one of the most friendly vegetarian places in the world, as it's not difficult to find delicious vegetarian dishes.
牛奶吃一个，忍不住了，而且我每次来都一定会点。
就吃一下，吃一下。哦，
你每次都这个表情，
这真的很好吃。
你要看一下那个表面，你说那个。
They want to show everyone that vegan cuisine can be delicious, and when this awakening comes, more people, especially youth, will begin to become involved in vegan concepts, and real change will happen. Let's meet Liu Yanxi, who is young and owns a vegetarian restaurant.
I just wanted to promote vegetarianism, and then there was a storefront available, so I wanted to do something interesting.
Liu and her partner were both born in 1992 and were classmates at Tzu Chi Senior High School. After graduating from college, they are willing to work together to open a vegetarian restaurant. Liu is similar to the two YouTubers, and they have all become friends, so they work together to promote a vegan lifestyle on the internet. With YouTubers and vegetarian restaurant operators working together on promotion, many hope that there will be a new awakening of this awareness amongst the next generation.
Concluding our series on DaAi Technologies' eco-friendly products, we bring you to the Humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion, where a giant solar-powered LED baseball cap-shaped car has been on display. The creation was also shown at the 2017 Taipei Summer Universiade.
We can find this giant solar-powered LED cap in front of the Humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion, but if you look closely, it is actually a car.
人类图的智慧，对啊，会那个废气环保利用。
The public was very curious about this car. The solar-powered LED cap-shaped car was debuted back in August 2017 at the Taipei Summer Universiade. A big tow truck was sent to transport the car to the Humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion. Due to its size, the tow truck cannot drive on the highway and had to take the provincial highway. It took a 7-hour drive to get to Houli.
I used to be a recycling volunteer, so I really like the idea of extending products' life cycle, giving the recycled items new values.
Turning the car into a shape of cap and changing the old equipment into new ones was a challenge for the volunteers.
We spent 2 days to just sew this part of the cap.
This volunteer over here is a tailor. Although she has been making clothes for more than 10 years, she has never made such a large piece of cloth before. Therefore, she kept on trying until the cloth fits the car.
If it doesn't fit, then I will have to do it all over again. I kept on sewing until the size is right. At the end, I've succeeded.
The Taichung Floral Expo is held for 6 months. During this period, the car will stay outdoors. Therefore, volunteers have sprayed a waterproof membrane onto the car. The volunteers have put all of their efforts into this process. In the end, the solar-powered LED cap-shaped car was successfully made.
During the day, it will be a waste to not use the electricity generated by the car, so we thought about setting up a cell phone charging station.
From the design concepts to the process of transformation, we can see that the solar-powered LED cap-shaped car itself is a great example of an eco-friendly product.
At the Huma International Convention Exhibition Center in Dongguan, a musical concert was held. China Tzu Chi volunteers were invited to give a sutra adaptation performance, while outside at the plaza, children put on costumes to promote environmental protection concepts.
These children put on a skit on environmental protection and attracted people's attention. These young volunteers also visited every stand to inform people how to protect the environment in daily life.
When you eat, try not to use those one-time cups. We should bring our own cups.
The Human Convention Center is holding a musical performance. The organizer gave the most visible stand to Tzu Chi. children of the Tzu Chi class promote environmental protection to the public, as well as performing a filial piety musical interpretation on the stage. The event of this day exhibits goodness and filial piety.
A family medicine doctor, Kasab, who served at the Tzu Chi Medical Center in Turkey, passed away at the age of 56-year-old on February 18th. Ever since the medical center launched in 2016, he has been one of the most dedicated doctors, safeguarding the health of the local population. His warm laughter will forever remain in everyone's hearts.
At the Turkey Tzu Chi Free Clinic Center, Kasab, a family medicine doctor, regularly works 10 hours a day to safeguard his countrymen's health.
We are a group of nomads, but it's because of you I can have a place to really live. You have gave me true dignity and allowed me to serve my countrymen.
Kasab escaped to Turkey from Syria during the war. His family of 6 lived in a much smaller house compared to his mansion and farm back home. However, the only thing he missed in his homeland was his mother.
My mother is 80 years old now. When I called her, I cried when she cried. We want peace and we want dignity. We only hope to live with our parents and family with dignity.
Dignity was something they could only dream of as refugees in a foreign land. When they first arrived in Turkey, he has to rely on his son to make a living at the shoe factory. It was not until Tzu Chi established the Free Clinic Center in 2016 that he finally has a chance to be a doctor again.
I feel happy in my heart because I want to go back to my work and serve others like what I did back in Aleppo.
Despite his heart problems, he enjoyed serving in his profession. He normally sees more than 100 patients a day, and everyone is familiar with his cheerful laughter. On the last step of his life journey he chose to end it by simply doing his job.
.3 years after I was jobless, this Free Clinic Center of Tzu Chi Foundation was established. Thanks to Allah, I was able to work again. The work was exhausting, but I felt very happy.
His image and voice still lost in people's hearts like a Buddha on earth. Now that he has gone to a better place, his dedication will always be remembered.
In 2014, Malaysia's Tzu Chi volunteers conducted flood relief missions on the East Coast. At the time, there was an affected resident, Grandma Mida, who had become very close to one of the Tzu Chi volunteers. Now she's 89 years old and her health conditions are deteriorating. Upon hearing the news, the volunteer headed back and even brought the photo that they took together back in 2014 as a gift. Thank you for watching. See you next time.